Welcome back to the Church of Atheism podcast. This is going to be a little bit different style of an episode today. We're going to be discussing 9/11, so it's going to be a little bit more, kind of a little more tame, a little bit less humorous, obviously. But don't worry, next week we're going to be talking about Trump and cults. You know, kind of mix them two together, the Trump cult, I like to call it, or Cult 45, another thing that's been going around. So next week's going to be a lot more fun. This week, we just want to kind of reflect on 9/11 and just kind of discuss like where we were and all that kind of, the typical 9/11 stuff. No conspiracy theories, none of that garbage and bullshit. We're not Alex Jones here, you know that. Let me shut up and we'll let you get to the episode. I didn't really want to get into we discussed it off air, but I don't want to get into the conspiracy theories and all that bullshit. I just kind of wanted to, it's the weekend of, well, once this gets out, it'll be a week later. But it's the week of 9/11. It's been 17 years since it happened.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy how there's adults that grew up and didn't weren't here for that. I don't know. It does not seem that really that long ago.
I had a coworker. She quit not long ago, but she was 19, so she was 2 when it happened. So, when we were talking about where were you on that day, she's like, I don't remember. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, either... And she wasn't old enough to be, blackout drunk.
Right. Right, so she has the excuse that she was a kid and doesn't remember.
Yeah.
So, does that answer my next question? Where were you on 9/11?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was wasted by 8 a.m.
For 3 straight months, I was just constantly blackout drunk. So I woke up in a hospital with an IV drip and woke up to some pretty crazy stuff.
Jesus. Yeah, that'd be one way to find out about everything that happened.
I was actually, because what time? What was the exact? Do you remember the exact time?
No. Sadly, of all the research I did, I didn't actually do the research on what time it happened. It was 8:30 or 9 o'clock.
Yeah, I think it was. I remember it being very early because I was actually in driver's ed, driving, wow. And then because the teacher was did you do driver's ed in high school?
Yeah.
Oh, so you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he was a tough, he was a football coach.
Right.
At one point, so his reaction, because he would always have NPR, an AM news station on, and then, his reaction, I'm not even kidding you, was oh, that's not good. And I was wow.
You're the teacher, huh? some insightful shit you got there, man.
Yeah, that was his reaction. So he might have been in on it. That's my theory.
He didn't act surprised enough for you, huh?
Yeah.
Boy, that's some terrible stuff, huh?
Because I remember having to. It must have been pretty early, because I remember having to get up early on my driving days and do that, So, yeah, that was, weird, first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
Fucking learning how to drive shittily.
Very shittily.
Yeah, because I was, very good. Well, because he fucking would, just verbally berate me when I screwed up. So, And honestly, in that regard, he might have been one of the best teachers I ever had, because I am such a fucking good driver to this day, because I just remember him like a fucking drill sergeant, what the hell is wrong with you? Remember, almost like Coach Buzzcut on BBC.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was, yes.
He wasn't anything like that, but
he had some similarities.
In my mind, when I'm in traffic, in my mind, that's how I remember it.
Yeah.
Basically, as Coach Buzzcut screaming at me.
And then 9/11 happens. He's like, well, that's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that you mention it, I can see him being a part of it.
Yeah, yeah. I was also convinced that I had a working theory that he might have been part robot. Like,
I can see that too.
yeah, like an android. Like,
Yep.
you can't tell they're not human.
Exactly. You would never know.
Yeah. But yeah, that was weird. And then there was I don't know if it was like the day after, but like, no, everyone was scared to check their mailbox because of anthrax.
Yeah. Like, it happened so quick after that.
Yeah, I don't remember because ever since wasn't it Tom Brokaw got mailed anthrax and they like caught it or something?
Yeah. And then after that, it was like, it was only a couple incidences, but the entire country was like, I'm not getting my mail.
Did you ever? Yeah, did you read the story about like the guy
No,
that they said did it? It's pretty fucking crazy because like, um, they determined that like he worked at the lab where this could be a different anthrax attack, but I think it was this one. But like, it was just some normal guy. Like reading into it, like I don't know. It seems obvious that he didn't do it, but I think he ended up committing suicide because the FBI was convinced.
Oh, shit.
Like they made a big deal. I think he actually did go to trial, and like, yeah, I can't remember the full story, but it was some guy, and like he worked at the lab, and that was about it. Because in order to get these anthrax spores, you can't just walk out with them. Like,
Right.
you have to go through a lot of steps to acquire them, and they said that he couldn't have done that, and so on. But like, I don't know, that's a little side note. I'll have to, if I remember, I'll have to read about that.
Yeah.
Bring it up again or something.
Yeah, you know what? I should look into that too, because I was fascinated with it when it was happening, and then once it disappeared, like, I didn't really think about it again until just now.
Yeah. So, like, I think, if I remember right, I think nobody actually still knows who did that. It was behind the anthrax attacks.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they ever caught anybody or not. I don't think so.
Yeah. I think they just blamed like the FBI basically harassed him until he killed himself.
That's
At least I
crazy.
think he killed himself. I don't know if he like, because every like, at least once every month or two, I'll go. I'm sure I've mentioned this by now, but I'll go on like the Wikipedia page for like unsolved murders or like
Yeah. Yeah.
suspicious murders and stuff, and I'll just they are every single one of them is fascinating.
Rat hole the fuck out of Wiki.
Yeah. Oh my god. Every single one like that's on there, and I think that's how I read about it. So I think he had like I don't know. It was pretty crazy, but yeah, I don't remember if like the anthrax thing was that night or that day.
Like right after.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it was a day. I mean, it was. I think it was the next day. I'm kind of sure of that.
Yeah,
Because
that
everyone was like
weird.
freaked out by, we just got attacked, and all of a sudden now there's anthrax in Tom Brokaw's mail.
But
Like,
then, like, yeah, I don't really remember much else about that except like we didn't do anything
it went away.
in any class
Yeah.
like for the rest of the day. Even the next day, I think they just had the TV going or something.
Yeah. I was in band, actually.
It sounds terrible that I say that, but that I say this, but that was kind of cool. Not having to do anything at school.
Here's the day
I
off.
mean, I know it's a terrible thing to say that thousands of people lost their lives just so I could slack off, but at least I got something out of it. Someone won. The terrorists didn't.
The terrorists didn't
fully-
beat you, man.
Yeah, the terrorists didn't beat me on that day.
Go fuck yourself, terrorists.
Oh, that was nuts. And then like, I just remember how quickly they knew it was Osama bin Laden because I
Yeah.
mean, you know, he took credit for it. Like that
Yeah.
was the weird part. Like it wasn't even like I think it was known that day.
Yeah,
Like,
it was. It was like,
yeah.
I think by the time we got home from school, like 4 o'clock, they knew.
Yeah.
That was so weird to me because I remember in the morning when I first heard about it, they didn't know anything. They just knew, like, obviously it was an attack by somebody. It wasn't just like a mistake. Like,
Yeah.
and you knew that, like, as soon as the second plane hit, you knew.
Mhm.
So, like,
Oh yeah.
there was never a suspicion, but then, like, I had the feeling it was going to be, like, days, maybe weeks before we found out who was responsible, and it was like, oh, well, that was easy.
Yeah. I don't think most people expected that.
I
Well,
didn't.
yeah. It was just like I don't know. It was such a weird thing that like a plane crashed into it, and then I don't know. It's like a weird thing where like you know that it could very well be an accident,
Right.
and then another one hits.
Well, because it wasn't
And
that many years before, like, a small plane crashed into the Empire State Building.
oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, it
Like a
did.
little single engine thing, and it, like, did barely any damage to the building whatsoever.
Yeah, yeah. But then like yeah, when the second one hit,
You know, like,
I don't know.
oh, that's not
It's
a
crazy.
mistake.
Yeah, that is like no mistake. And then like later on, like oh, then one crashed in like a field in Pennsylvania or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then the Pentagon got hit. Like that was a pretty fucking.
Yeah.
That
The,
is.
the way I found out was really weird because we were, like I said, I was in band class and we were like in the middle of a song when the announcement came over, and we didn't hear the very beginning of it. So all we heard was, I think we started hearing it after the Pentagon had been hit. Like they made the announcement over the loudspeakers for the entire school. And they were like, the Pentagon's been hit and the Twin Towers have been hit. And that we missed half of that. You know what I mean? Like we missed half the explanation. So we're like, we were all like, "What happened? This is real?" Like we didn't know right away if it was like a real thing or not. And one of the band teachers went to his office and like looked up what they were talking about, and then he told us what happened. Because like I said, we missed half of the message. We didn't know. For all we knew, they were talking about like in Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
Like we didn't know what was going on. We thought it was just like not a celebration, but like a memorial something. That's what it sounded like. And then we found out it was, oh, it's real. It just happened today.
Oh, how weird. They're giving some strange announcement that you just have no idea what context it is.
Yeah, yeah. Like the entire band, like the whole marching band was like,
Yeah.
wait, what? So that's how we found out. Just totally like, what's happening?
Yeah.
So it wasn't until like 10 minutes later that we were like, we found out officially. And then by that time it was almost third period, so it was like, bam, bam, bam. We just found out something happened. Not sure what it was. Found out what it was officially, and then we like our next class we got to watch it on TV.
Yeah.
And you're right. The rest of the day was a breeze.
Yeah. No homework. Just the fear of some sort of warfare.
Yeah, but besides that, I'd trade that in once in a while for no homework.
You know what? I mean, I'm always ready for warfare because I decided. I think we should endorse Odin, and I was thinking about that. I'll get back to this later, but
The God of War.
yeah, the Viking god, because
Yes, yes.
their heaven is the fucking coolest afterlife of any religion, which is a never-ending war.
Bitchin'.
Yeah, that's their version of heaven. If you're good, you'll fight in an everlasting war for all eternity.
And if you're a piece of shit, you'll drink tea.
Yeah.
Their hell is like every other religion's heaven.
Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing.
So yeah, I went home like ready,
Yeah.
but everybody else is probably pretty. But yeah, like
Well, I had football
It's
practice
just-
that night
Oh,
after school, and as we're stretching, like we always had like partner stretches or whatever, and the coaches would walk around and, what's up, Trav? You ready for, blah, 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 small talk, whatever. But they were like, the coaches were talking like, look at the clouds, man. Look at the sky. There's not a single plane up there.
yeah.
And like, all of the football players were just like, oh man, this is weird. Like, we all knew it was
Yeah.
weird. And it
Yeah,
was like, that was the first time in my life there had been no, chemtrails or anything in the sky.
hmm Well, I was reading something about how like that had a huge like positive impact on the environment because there was almost no air traffic in the entire world.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. The
Like,
fucking ozone layer healed itself in 24 hours.
yeah, yeah, no, that's crazy. Like, yeah, it actually had a huge positive impact because it was definitely not like I'm sure a lot of other countries suspended air traffic.
Yeah.
Like I imagine Britain because Britain's definitely was like a frequent has always been a frequent like terrorist,
Yeah.
terrorist destination. Yeah. Like the Disney World for terrorists.
Yeah. Their game shows that win tickets to London.
Yeah.
The terrorist Price is Right. Fuck you! I'm over.
I feel bad for the Egyptian. I think what is it, the goddess named Isis?
Yeah, it just kind of hijacks her a little bit, huh?
Yeah, I feel bad for her because she was the shit, and that was also the name of Catwoman's cat.
Yeah.
Her favorite cat was Isis.
Fucking Isis.
Yeah. Now if they ever make another Batman movie with her, they're gonna have to change, or they could just not feature the cat. I mean, there's no reason for them to feature.
You
I don't
have
know.
to. It's the cat. Catwoman.
See, now I'm just back to Batman. I don't know why Batman. Well, I'm sitting next to like a big ass poster of the Joker.
Oh, well then you're fucked.
Yeah, that's what I keep thinking of. Fucking Batman.
So I have a question for you. With you still live in the Midwest.
Oh yeah,
Like, how do you?
big time.
Big time. What's your like? I don't know how to say this. I'm probably gonna have to edit like 30 seconds out of this just because I can't speak. So, like, as far as the Midwest goes? How do you feel? Like, what am I trying to say here? How do you think they like remember it and honor it? Like, are they still like remember shit about it? Like, take the time out to like think about it that day, or?
I don't know. Now that I think about it, like definitely in the news, because I only hang out with just degenerates who care about nothing. So.
So you're not the main source on this,
Right. But I feel like it has to be a completely different, like, you have to. There's no way you think about it the same way as people from like the Eastern Seaboard, really,
Yeah.
because
Like,
there's targets all along the East Coast. Like, it's
oh yeah.
definitely got to be a different feeling, like a more somber type of day.
Yeah. And I think that's what I don't know. I was trying to get to a point, but I couldn't figure out how to question it right to you. But when I lived in the Midwest, I always felt like this is a terrible pun, by the way, but I always felt like Christians kind of hijacked that day.
Yeah, that's actually nice.
You know what I mean, though? Like, I saw like a picture or a meme about with the Twin Towers still up, and like the sunlight was in the middle of them, but like the glare made Jesus Christ, right?
Oh no.
But the sick thing was, here's what really pissed me off the most about it was the Jesus Christ, the reflection was actually a mosaic of like the victims.
Oh, that's
that
fucked up.
Because, like, I mean, maybe they did the research, maybe they contacted families. I don't know. But if my face was on there, like, I
Yeah.
hope my
Oh,
family's pissed off. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want my face to be part of your religious bullshit.
yeah. Unless
Like,
somebody's getting paid for it, which
right.
I just have a hunch that they probably
No.
weren't
They're
each
not getting,
individual. Yeah.
they're not getting royalties.
No. Like if that was the case, fine, whatever. At least somebody benefits financially in some way from my death.
Right. But,
I guess
like,
in that regard, I might be okay with it, but otherwise, no.
right. And I feel like you could have done something really nice and special to remember the victims without bringing Jesus into it. You know,
Yeah,
like, I know they're going for the all nice Jesus-y thing,
yeah,
but to me, it's like, especially in New York. If you've ever been to New York, you realize very quickly how diverse this place is. There's
oh
there's
yeah,
people from all over the country, all over the planet, all different religions, all different faiths. Like, don't fucking take something like that and bring. You don't need to bring religion into it. It's already been brought. The terrorists brought religion into this already. Like, you don't need to bring yours into.
yeah, and yeah, because there's I bet half those people, if that, on that picture were Christian. It was they did a lot of financial stuff there, so there's probably a lot of
Yeah, yeah.
Jews.
But even then, like, yeah, exactly, Jews. But, like, let's just say there was one atheist in that picture. That's
Yeah,
disrespectful. Let's say there was
yeah,
one
yeah.
Jew in that picture. That's
I'm,
disrespectful.
I'm sure
There's
there were
way more than
several. I
one of each.
mean,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm sure there were a lot of Jewish people in there, just because there's a lot of Jewish people in New York City.
yeah.
So like,
It's like, it's just, to me, that's so disrespectful to, like, make your dogma someone, like, bring someone else into it.
yeah, like I see your point, and I definitely think that I do think like the right wing like politicized it for sure, and
Yeah.
in the same sort of way that like a lot of Christians used it for their agenda.
It's like, it's sad because the biggest thing I remember about 9/11 was, like, the next day, the next week, the next month was like, nobody was a Democrat or Republican. Nobody was
Yeah,
religious or an atheist. Like, people were Americans for the first time in my lifetime.
yeah, that's why I think like, and well, I was kind of listening to people talk about how like I think that's the last time like comedy was really good because like
Right. People
I don't
wanted to
know.
laugh.
Yeah, that's when like Tough Crowd was on, and all those
Yeah.
guys that were on that were like all the regular people were very. I felt like Jim Norton and Patrice O'Neill, and like that just seemed like, and then like South Park had made like they made that was crazy. Like South Park made an episode that Bin Laden won like
Yeah.
2 days later,
Yeah.
because I remember like the episode started out like that was literally the week of like 9/11, and the episode started out like all the boys were waiting for the bus, but they had gas masks on because of like
Yeah.
anthrax.
Yep.
And like yeah, that was when I think comedy like they could get away with a lot more because people just needed to be entertained and
Right.
needed a distraction.
The need to laugh outweighed the need to be politically correct.
Yeah, like that. It just seemed to me like that was kind of the last time when people just let anyone say anything.
Right.
Like at least I always bring it back to like comedy shit, but like
But it's
I
true,
think
though.
it definitely it speaks to your point about how like, and then I remember watching The Daily Show like every day, and like I loved that because they still managed to be like really funny.
Yeah.
That was like one of the best like for the Jon Stewart Daily Show. That was like one of the best eras of it because
Yep.
he still fucking did it every day, and yeah, that was pretty crazy.
I can't imagine being a writer for that show after that. You know what I mean? For like the first couple days after 9/11,
Yeah.
like to be a comic to write jokes after that is one thing, but to be a writer for that show that's like you have a due date has to be funny. Like after this big ass tragedy happened.
Well, especially like a lot of like, I mean, any of those writers are going to be from New York or LA.
Right.
So
they probably knew people in the buildings.
yeah. So like that's definitely wait because there are so many more landmarks and tall buildings in New York, and it's so densely populated that like it would probably would have been pretty terrifying to have lived there, like just like constantly.
Well, even on Long Island, I didn't live here then, but I live here now on Long Island, and like even now, 17 years later, it's got a different feel here than I've ever felt like in the years following 9/11 in Nebraska. You know what I mean? Like people still remember it very well.
Yeah.
People talk about it way differently. Like everybody knows someone who was either in one of the buildings or knows someone who knows someone. You know what I mean?
Right. Or like, was like
the 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
But it's like 2 degrees of New York. Like if you didn't know someone directly, you knew someone who knew someone.
I remember reading about how apparently like one of the Mafia families sent like a whole bunch of I don't know whatever like they just volunteered.
Yeah.
A whole bunch of mob guys volunteered, and of course they had resources, and I guess like they got in trouble for it, but it's pretty crazy. Like even like the Mafia comes out to lend a hand.
Right.
Because as far as I could tell from that article, it wasn't like, you know, it wasn't a scam. Like they were genuinely.
Right. It wasn't a get rich quick scheme, like capitalizing off it.
Like mob people are. I don't know if it's just like an Italian thing, but like they're always really patriotic.
Yeah.
Like despite being like going
against the government in every way.
not every Italian, but yeah.
No, actually, no. It's every single one of them.
Yeah. Okay. I thought so.
Yeah, I know you wanted to be careful, like making a blanket statement, but no, every Italian I know is extremely patriotic. I'm married into a family of Italians, by the way, so
yeah,
all of them. Every day wear America hats.
So yeah, no, I just thought that was an interesting thing of even like dangerous murderers were like genuinely concerned and lent resources and shit. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. That is cool. I never knew that about the mob.
Yeah, because I just remember it was in the news because I think some of them got in trouble or turned away or something. I don't know.
Like, could you imagine, like, you're on a stakeout, like, you're about to bust the mob, and then, like, they go help 9/11 victims?
Like, yeah.
God damn it. Like, probably shouldn't bust them now.
Like, you're ready to make the arrest that day.
Yeah.
That would look pretty bad on the police part.
Okay, that's Fat Tony and Magic Mike. What are they doing? They got shovels.
Yeah. Magic Mike.
Man, that was the best I could do at a moment's notice. Yeah, because Italians, not only are they patriotic, but they're also huge fans of magicians.
Oh, Magic Mike was the name of that. Was that Channing Tatum movie where he plays the male stripper?
That's right. Oh shit. That's where my brain went.
Now I just have like the image of a man in a G-string going to
help survivors.
Yeah.
Quick, grab my thong.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know where I was going with that ever. Magic Mike. Fat Tony would make sense. I'm not sure
Yeah.
Magic Mike is going to pull it. Mr. Brown, Mr. White.
Yeah, the Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great fucking movie.
That is one of my favorite movies ever. I remember there was a period of time in high school where I watched that like almost every day.
That and Pulp Fiction both.
I just watched that. I'll have to tell you when we're done with the episode. I'll have to bring up a really fascinating Pulp Fiction fan theory that is just really off topic.
I'm down.
Yeah, yeah.
I was going to say, speaking of, was it Mr. Pink? What's his name in real life?
Oh, Steve Buscemi?
Yeah, did you know Steve Buscemi was a
Yeah.
volunteer firefighter, and he went down in 9/11 and helped?
Yeah, I did, because there's like only one picture of him like on the fire truck like during that day, because like a few people recognized him, but he was like, this is not the time.
Right, like
This is not an appropriate time or place. Like, yeah,
Yep.
he just, well, because I think he was like a firefighter and then like a volunteer firefighter afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's
He
pretty
just
odd.
absolutely went down there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just one of the reasons why Steve Buscemi is one of
The best
great-
people on the planet.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm sure there's a lot of New York-based actors, and I didn't hear about them volunteering on
No,
9/11.
I didn't see Jay-Z down there.
No, I certainly didn't. That's just rude.
I mean, to be fair, I wasn't there either.
I was.
In spirit.
Yeah, I held the tower up for as long as I could, and then I just gave out like the Juggernaut from X-Men.
Yeah.
I went from driver's ed straight to New York.
The
So I could-
tower, yeah.
Oh, if we're doing an episode about 9/11, we got to at least talk about Mark Wahlberg. And you remember his famous 9/11 quote, right?
No, actually.
Oh, well, if you want to look up the exact quote, I don't know what it was,
Right.
but he 100% said that if he was in the planes, he would have stopped 9/11.
What?
Yeah, no, he definitely said that. That's just the most like dumb like Boston guy thing to fucking
Yeah.
say.
I would have stopped it.
I would have fucking stopped it. I would have stopped them. I would have stopped the fucking robot cars.
Here it is. Hold on. The Washington Post is loading slowly.
Of course, I would have fucking stopped Pearl Harbor.
No questions asked. Oh, of course. Here we go. If I was on that plane with my kids, it wouldn't have went down like it did. There would have been a lot of blood in the first class cabin, and then me saying, "Okay, we're gonna land somewhere safely. Don't worry." Yeah, that's exactly how it would have gone down, Mark.
Oh, that's so good.
You fucking tough guy. Wow. I did not hear that before. That's funny.
Oh, it's amazing. And you know what? I think that's how it would have happened. Fucking
Probably.
Mark Wahlberg. He just got done working out for 12 hours, and he's still pumped up.
Right. He's still listening to like heavy metal on his earphones.
He's listening to Dropkick Murphys.
Yeah.
That's his plane music.
Shipping out to Boston. Oh my god, that's funny.
I couldn't think of any other. Oh yeah, he's just listening to Dropkick Murphys and Godsmack.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess yeah. We got off topic.
Good in on Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but I definitely had to bring that up.
Yeah.
But
I just wish, especially now, I think I have a way to close it out. I'm going to South Park it for a second, folks. It's kind of sad that it would take, especially where we are now, in our political division, it would take an event like 9/11 for us to get back together. You know, like we're so far divided.
Oh, absolutely.
Like we almost need a tragedy to bring us back together a little bit. That's sad.
Yeah, that is quite the bad, just social state.
Like before 9/11, we were like divided, but it wouldn't have had to be something so major to get us to the back together. Like now, it would take 9/11 for it to happen.
Well, I think actually now, like when George Bush, like, because he did get elected, like,
Right.
you know, however many months before that. It was not long, but I remember it getting really divided, like during his election.
I don't, but I was not anywhere near as political as I am now. So.
I just remember watching like the Daily Show a lot, and then
Oh, true.
because I would always watch like the Tonight Show and shit, and so I'd watch the news and stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily pay attention, but
No, I could be I'm definitely possible that I'm wrong on that. I just don't remember it.
yeah, no, I remember stuff being pretty divided because no one wanted the first George Bush in, for one thing.
Right.
That's why he didn't get reelected. And so people sure as shit didn't want his less intelligent son.
Also known as the bright one of the family.
Yeah.
Poor Jeb. He never had a kid.
No. And that's the funny thing, because I really don't think, like, George Bush even really wanted it.
No.
You know? Because he was the owner of, he was already rich. He was already doing cool stuff, like owning a baseball team.
Leave me alone,
like,
Dad.
Yeah. It really seemed like he was kind of forced into it.
Yeah. It would make a lot of sense, looking back.
And he got reelected, and poor Jeb, like, actually wants to
Gives
impress
it
his
his
father.
all.
Yeah. Actually wants to be president so he could, just like his dad, so his dad could love him.
That's my Jeb.
And now it's never going to happen because he just got humiliated by Donald Trump. In front of the entire, repeatedly.
Poor Jeb. Jeb die.
That's it's like a boxer who, like, just has such a like, when Mike Tyson lost to that one guy, it was like his last match, and he was talking about, like, me performing at this caliber is a disgrace to the sport, and then he never, like, boxed again.
Yep.
And then,
he knew it was time. It was over.
Speaking of over, so is this podcast. So is this episode. Thank you guys so much again for listening. We really do appreciate it. All the listens, all the support, all the likes, the retweets. Really do appreciate it, guys. I got to talk shop really quick. Amazon.com/shop/Church of Atheism. Check out some of our stuff there. You can check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/Church of Atheism. And you can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud. I'll have to put them a whole list together. That's all. Anyway, that's it. Anyway, guys. Remember, next week is going to be the Trump cult episode. It's going to be a lot more interesting, a lot more fun, a little more humorous. But that's it. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll talk to you next time.